Good morning, all my friends. How you doing this morning? It's Wednesday, hump day. Woo! I wanted to get this video off before I have to get going to work here. It's not urgent or anything. I just wanted to get it done for you. I've been looking at different videos, as I told you the other day. And one of the videos I was looking at is a guy that calls himself Naughty Beaver. Christian, I think he's a Hopi Indian, I'm not sure. I don't know him that well, nor have I seen a lot of his videos, but just seen a few, along with two other guys that he talks with sometimes. I can't think of their names. Drake. Anyway, it's not important. But anyway, one of the things that he had brought up is, I keep wondering what is going on with all these, these aliens and everything. My mind goes, because of my own research, goes to fallen angels, okay? And I know that Satan is the prince of the air. He also rules this earth, or is a ruler of this earth. And that he's coming back and he's going to, he's going to be thrown down again. His influence has been here all along, as far as I am concerned, for my lifetime anyway. All right, so why am I bringing this up? I think I brought up Admiral Byrd to you before, Richard E Byrd, who was a stellar guy, honorable man who was a traveler, explorer. He circumnavigated the earth at 12 years old, okay? He was phenomenal. He was a pilot, wasn't afraid of anything. And he went to the North Pole. He also went to the South Pole, although there's some sort of account that he may not have gone there originally, because his plane had an oil leak, and they might have, he might have thought he went, but his companion that went with him said that he didn't. So I don't know. It's a he said kind of thing. However, he was given, ticket parades and wonderful, kind of like a Buzz Aldrin of my time. Although I don't think that much about him. But a hero, kind of a thing. And so anyway, Admiral Byrd, at one of his flights that he was down in the Antarctic, he would map out all of the Antarctic, and the mountains are huge. They're like 20,000 feet high. They're, there's crevasses that are 100 feet tall. You can't land a plane. You get stuck in it. It's just, it's really harsh, very, very harsh land to live in, to be in. Little penguins, and there's seals and that sort of thing. But other than that, it is bitter cold, and it's just inhabitable, really. I mean, there are bases down there in every one of the countries, especially from the UN, are down there, including us. And he named one area after his wife Marie Byrd, and so forth. So he did a lot down there. And one of these times that he was down there, he was going to fly to the South Pole, and people were, all cheering and everything. And this is this account of his. Now, he was like there in 33, 35, again in, it's been some time after 47 or 47, and 1947, and again in 56, 55, 56, whatever. But he died in 1957. And so he was, I don't know how old he was, but he, was getting up there, but he was really strong. At 40 something, he could, one arm chin himself if he needed to. He was, a strong guy and made of good stuff. So he and his radio man were flying, and they were going to fly, it was like 800 miles to the pole or something, or 83, can't remember the exact amount. But anyway, he's flying, and he has a diary. It's called the Admiral Byrd Diaries. And after his death, his diaries got out, finally. And he accounts every hour, what's going on, and he radios back, everything's fine, and he's going along, and he's, noticing things, and then all of a sudden he notices in the snow, all, the crevasses and everything, sort of a yellow tint, and then he notices purple and reds, and wasn't quite sure what that was, And he's high, and he's been fluctuating his flight because of turbulence, and he notes that, each hour or half hour or whatever, anytime it happened, he logs it in, and he started to notice these huge, mountains, green forest on one side, lush. The grass was tightly knit like moss or tight grass of some sort. And he then notices a large animal. And so he drops down to 1,000 feet to take a closer look, gets the binoculars out, and it's a woolly mammoth. Now, I don't know if this mammoth was alive or dead, but that's that enough should startle any scientist or archaeologist or whatever. So he continues on, and it's just these beautiful lush hills, and it's just so captivating. He's going along, and then all of a sudden he sees these shimmering disc coming towards him. Now he's in I don't know if he was in a biplane, but an old-fashioned propeller plane, okay, with a stick and old-fashioned plane, and they, these two discs come right alongside of him and take control of him. I don't know if it was electromagnetic or some sort of magnetizing, because he said it felt like a vice grip and he couldn't move. The stick, the controls were no good. And after a while, he noticed the engines weren't running at all. And he's just being led. And then a voice comes over somehow he hears them, through his radio control, calling him by name. And the voices sound like Nordic, Germanic voices saying, "Admiral, we're going to land you in 7 minutes, and please do not be afraid," that kind of thing. And so there's nothing he can do, so he's kind of going with the flow, basically. And they land. And these two very tall, long blonde hair, blue-eyed creatures come to him. It must have looked human, somewhat. Said they were beautiful, and he was a good-looking guy, so anyway, so they escort him they get on like a platform, and it rapidly takes them towards this city that looked like it was dipped in rainbow colors. He said it reminded him of Frank Lloyd Wright, but then he said, no, more like Buck Rogers. He didn't have the language to explain what he was seeing. Kind of like a near-death ender, trying to explain heaven. You just don't have the words. Well, so what's making me think that they're fallen angels, kind of trying to make, the life on Earth like home back home, you know. Um, so they escort him into a room, and then they tell him, not the radio guy. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the radio man made a diary or said anything about it or wrote anything about it. I'm sure, I don't know how he would, anyway, not be able to talk about it. But, you know, when, you know, you've got such a huge secret and you know you're going to die, it's really hard to kind of keep that secret, you know. I know a lot of people who just give it up, you know. So anyway, I don't know if there's an account from this guy or not, but they said, we're going to escort you to the master. And so when they said master, I was like, we're talking Satan here, you know, who are we talking about? Well, this guy was very delicate looking, he said, long fingers, but his face was weathered with time, or something like that. And he sat in front of him and said, we have not gotten involved with any of your barbaric wars or your doings, you know, on top of the land, your race on top of the land. But our race in the inner earth, you know, hasn't interfered until you drop the atomic bomb. And I think that why he said that is because that not only should man not be playing with that kind of technology, and who gave that to them, but it disrupts, I'm sure, not just only earth, but inner earth and perhaps the heavens as well. So why this fallen angel, they called themselves Anui or something like, I can't remember the name, but it starts with A. Not Anunnaki, but a different word. Ananuni, Anunnaki, Ananu, I don't know. Ananui, maybe I should find it. Well, it's not important. You can look it up yourself. So anyway, so he said, if you continue along this path, you're going to bring yourself a dark age, you know. And, you know, he says, do you think I'm lying to you? And he says, no, I don't, you know. And he says, but, you know, why me? He says, because you're an honorable man. We want you to tell this to the world, to the, you know, the people on top of the land, that race, that they can't do that they can't do that. And he also alluded to the fact that this guy had the power over the air and the water, to stop us or to, you know, disrupt, I think, because we have free will. So he's telling you, got to tell the leaders that they have to stop doing what they're doing. They must, you know, no nuclear weapons, okay? And I think Admiral Byrd said, you know, yeah, I remember the 500-year, you know, the Dark Ages. And he says, you know, right. So anyway, basically, you know, it was very short, and Admiral Byrd even said that he felt like he had to kind of bow to this guy. He didn't know why, but he just felt, you know, he was in the presence of a very, you know, noble being, and wanted to show his respect. So anyway, they are escorted back, and he tells them, we're not going to keep you. We're going to, you know, let you go back. And so the two beings show up right next to him again, tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings, and take him back, and the radio guy, I guess, and they take off and fly back, and they stay with them for about 2,700 feet or miles or I don't know, a long time. Stay with him for a while, okay? And